ICE directed to pause immigration arrests at farms, hotels, and restaurants, sources tell CBS News. So, the Trump administration has directed immigration and custom enforcement to halt arrests at farms, restaurants, and hotels amid concerns that the president's crackdown on illegal immigration is hurting key industries. Two sources familiar with the abrupt policy change told CBS News. Now, of course, this whole illegal immigration is very complicated. I understand that some of the people who say, hey, illegal means illegal, you gotta go. And to an extent, I agree with that. Like, in a way, like, I see where they're coming from. But what's complicated is that the cheap labor, where people who get no benefits, pay taxes, but get nothing in return, like pay Social Security taxes and whatnot, the United States economy depends on it so much. In addition, the farmers, most Americans don't work them. Most legal immigrants won't work them. So it's heavily dependent on illegal immigrants to do those jobs. Backbreaking work out in the hot sun, pulling fruits and vegetables and other food. Meat packaging, whatnot. Jobs that I wouldn't do. And I'm sure most of the viewers watching this will not do. But we depend on it. It's our food. It's the food that we go get at the grocery store. Where we go get your McDonald's and whatnot, that food. That you don't have no thought of where it comes from. Yeah, most Hispanics, or I wouldn't say Hispanic, but most illegal immigrants have picked that food. So when you're, saying grace at the dinner table, you're thanking Jesus, you're thanking Jesus, who's at the farms, picking the food. Restaurants, a lot of restaurants work on low margins. They really need that cheap labor. I used to work at restaurants, and you know who does a lot of the dishes, bussing tables, and I guess some of the cooking? It's illegal immigrants. That's why they're no longer looking at those restaurants anymore. I'm sure high-end restaurants don't have illegal immigrants, but there's still a lot of restaurants that depend on that cheap labor just to get by. And of course, hotels. Hey, Trump owns hotels, and I'm sure it's affecting his hotels. That's why he's putting a stop to it. I mean, he's probably doing a stop to these restaurants and farms because his friends probably own a lot of these farms and meatpacking industries and where the food comes in and delivered. Who knows? I'm just insinuating. But there's a reason why he's suspending it, right? These are areas where a lot of illegal immigrant work is being done because it's hard, cheap labor. And that's what Americans want. Most Americans will probably do the job if the price is there, right? If Americans, if they did some of these jobs and it paid them, $4,000 a month, which helps them pay their bills, yeah, they'll do it. But who's gonna pay $4,000 a month for all these back-breaking hard jobs? It's not good for your back in the long term. Probably not good for your health. You're gonna be hurting a lot. So just do it to illegal immigrants, because the illegal immigrants, just pay no mind matter. They can't complain. They're illegal immigrants. They're not going to show up wanting benefits or something because they're illegal. That's why there's a huge problem with the U.S. economy. Like, what is it like? So many millions and millions of Americans depend on some form of welfare, right? Like a disability check or something, right? Like it's astonishing how many require it. And of course, those people are not going to do these hard labor jobs. So let's be honest about that. And trying to find someone to do it, who's a legal resident or a U.S. citizen, it's nearly impossible. Are there out there? I'm sure they're out there. Someone's going to say in the comments like, oh, I know someone who owns a farm and he only hires legals. Like, I'm sure, right? But can you say that for most of the farms? Most of where the food comes to us? I guarantee you, if you open your refrigerator, most of that food was in the hands of an illegal immigrant at one point in time, right? It was picked, got thrown on a truck, that truck made it to the grocery store, on the shelves, and then you picked that food up. But yes, illegal immigration, there's a huge, complicated situation with it. Now, like, what a lot of people don't want to understand is, like, to get legal status in the U.S., could take up to 7 years, could take up to 10 years. It's a long time. For someone who's like super broke and desperate, they're not gonna wait that long. Of course they're gonna jump the border, get here however they can, just so they can work, doing hard jobs that most of us are too privileged to do for little pay. It's better than wherever they're just coming from. And here we are, have the audacity to complain about these people. They're taking our jobs. No, they're jobs you would never, ever would do. You're too good for that. Now, I understand, like, I'm not one who liked the whole open border situation that we had during the Biden administration. It was like anyone was getting through. Like, plenty of criminals and whatnot. Yeah, those people need to go for sure. Don't get it wrong in that area. But, like, why? I know these guys, like these ICE agents, have a quota to meet where they need to kick out a certain amount of illegal immigrants. I thought, if they focus all their time and energy on the criminals, 100% in favor for it. Don't get me wrong. But the guy who's cleaning the dishes, you deport him, then the restaurant owner is going to have a hard time finding a replacement because no one wants to do that job. Really? Like, you raid freaking farms. Now the farmer can't find workers for that. He can't sell this food now because you just got rid of all his hardworking people. And they're not that easy to replace, especially when you're deporting all the illegal immigrants. Sometimes I advocate, like, is deportation really the action that needs to be done? Someone here illegal? I believe there needs to be some form of punishment. Like, you can't just come here illegally. Like, they need to be vetted somehow, but you also should pay a price for coming here illegally. And if you're someone who's here illegal, but you're working at a farm, you're working at these hotels or restaurants, like, you're clearly not a gang member, you're clearly not a criminal. Okay, we can find a middle ground where you can stay and not be scared to get deported, but you have to pay something. You skip the line. There's millions of people trying to do it the legal way. I understand that these illegals, there's like two things going on. One, they're not educated enough to understand where to start the process. I'm sure most people watching this video who are illegal have zero idea of how to start the process. And in addition, these illegal immigrants, they couldn't even start the progress even if they knew, because they didn't have the money to even start it, let alone wait 7 to 10 years to get approved to finally work here in the U.S. And if they get approved to work in the U.S., why work the farms? Why work those hard industries? They could do any other job except something that's backbreaking in the heat. They'll do something else. So this is like the weird situation the U.S. has that has a grip on the economy of like, okay, what do you do? Like, you need the cheap labor to do this backbreaking work. Like, okay, are you going to pay extra for Americans or legal status immigrants to do it? Then food and everything else costs more, right? Everything is already expensive. Like, I see the problem, but I don't have solutions, right? I threw in the solution, like maybe some type of status, like if they're clearly not a criminal, their only crime is illegal, that they got here illegally. I mean, they got to pay something. Maybe deportation isn't the answer, but something. I don't know. What do you guys think? Like, subscribe, comment below. I do read them. I mean, if you're clearly a troll, I'm not going to respond to you. But if you want to have intelligent comments out there, you want me to respond, I'll respond to them. And until next time, bye.